So why was he asking Lecrae those questions? And if Lecrae gave him the most straightforward answer, would it have mattered anyway to Vlad? What was he looking for? Was he looking for truth, or was he just looking to try and make someone look bad on his channel? Hey everyone, Pete Hanna here. Eternal perspective, that's the mantra. Seeking God and His kingdom first, and all about having our vision focused on Him. So I'm going to be talking about an interview Lecrae did recently, just the other day actually, with Vlad TV. If you haven't watched it, be sure to check it out. Link will be in the description. It's actually a 3-part interview. Part 1 is 13 minutes. I didn't really watch that part, but I did watch parts 2 and 3, so I'll address those. And I will give some context to the interviews, but once again, I encourage you to watch them yourselves, just that you understand what I'm talking about. Alright, so in the interview, Vlad asked Lecrae all these questions about gay marriage, homosexuality, the owner of Chic Fil, and what his views on marriage were, and if Lecrae agreed with them. In part 3, he asked Lecrae what he would do if one of his sons came out as gay and invited him to his gay wedding, and how Lecrae would handle that. And so, when you watch it, you'll see Lecrae does seem to kind of go around the questions and kind of ramble on rather than addressing things head on. But he does bring up some interesting points that I want to address. Once again, I'm not 100% saying I agree with the way Lecrae handled it, but I'm also saying that there is some good takeaway from it. And there's definitely some discussion to be had about the interview itself and the way it was structured. And many people had issues with the way Lecrae handled these questions, the way he addressed them. Some called him a coward. Some said he danced around it too much, that he talked about a whole lot of nothing. So I'm just going to address many of these things. So first of all, addressing the coward thing. You know what? Maybe Lecrae didn't handle it the best way. You know, maybe he had a moment of weakness. He was nervous up there. He stumbled on his words, didn't really know what to say. Maybe he was a little bit of a coward. I do think there's room for grace, though. I mean, we as the church will oftentimes excuse like a pastor for molesting a child or cheating on his wife and talk about, oh, we need to show him grace. But as soon as Lauren Daigle, Lecrae, and some of these guys get up in front of a big camera, in front of a huge audience, and they start stumbling on their words, they start to cower a little bit, shy away from the truth. And then we start to throw stones and crucify them. So I'm not going to necessarily defend Lecrae's answer or response, but I'll say that there is room for grace, and maybe just straight up the truth is that Lecrae did have a moment of weakness, did stumble a little bit, and was unable to give a straightforward answer because of that. But, a lot of people were saying how they can handle it better, handle it differently. And to that I say, I don't know. We don't know. If I was up there in front of Vlad doing the interview, would I have answered differently? I don't know. You know why? Because I don't have that platform. Maybe God hasn't given me that platform because He knows I can't handle it. I mean, look at Lecrae. Even though he sometimes doesn't always say the right thing, he's still going strong in his marriage. He's still present in his kids' lives. He's still loving people, still following God. So many people with platforms like his would have caved, within days. And so many have. So many high-profile Christians have given into sexual sin because of their platforms, have committed adultery, and Lecrae hasn't done none of that. So I think we should give him some grace, and there is room for that, even if we disagree with how he handled that interview. But with that, I think Vlad TV, he definitely knew what he was doing. You could tell he kept pushing. You could tell all he wanted to do was just get a reaction out of Lecrae so that he can point a finger and be like, bam, see guys, Lecrae is homophobic, Lecrae is anti-gay, Lecrae hates people. I think that, you could tell that's what he was going for. And So the way Lecrae handled it, he didn't really give him that chance to do so. I think it was pretty scummy on Vlad TV's part. I mean, everyone knows what the Orthodox Christian view on marriage is. We don't need to ask Christian rappers and Christian celebrities what the Bible says about these things. So I think it was very intentional from Vlad, and he was going to probably try and kind of make Lecrae look bad and slander him. So that brings me to the next thing, and many people said Lecrae talked about a whole lot of nothing, and I don't think that's true. Even though he didn't give a straightforward response, even though he could have answered it better, answered it more biblically, he still brought up many interesting points. So I'm gonna just point these out from the interview. Lecrae brought up the point that it was the personal beliefs of the Chick-fil-A owner. It's someone's personal beliefs, but he also said people come at one side too hard and not the other. He brought up the example of Snoop Dogg walking around with two women on leashes, and he said people didn't really come at him for that, but as soon as it comes to Christian worldviews, to the Bible, to orthodoxy, Christian orthodoxy, that people always hammer in harder on that side than they do to other perspectives that are also deemed wrong by society. So Lecrae pointed that out. Now, when he was asked about what he'd do if one of his sons came out as gay and had a gay marriage, Lecrae brought up this interesting point. So he said, depends on who I'm talking to. He basically said, if someone asks me if being gay is a sin, I'll ask him, do you believe in sin? Do you believe in Jesus? Because if that person doesn't even believe in sin or in Jesus, then why are you asking that question? Why does it matter to you? But then he said, but if that person says they do, then there's room for discussion and we can navigate that. And I think that's actually a really good point, going back to Vlad TV. I don't believe Vlad is a Christian. You can get that even just from this interview, that he doesn't hold views that align with the Bible. So why was he asking Lecrae those questions? And if Lecrae gave him the most straightforward answer, would it have mattered anyway to Vlad? What was he looking for? Was he looking for truth, or was he just looking to try and make someone look bad on his channel? I know as Christians, we will look bad. It's not about trying to look good in the eyes of people that are trying to knock us down anyway, but I do think it's an interesting point to make, that point that Lecrae made. What is your intentions with asking these questions? And if you genuinely want to know what the Bible says about it, if you believe in the Bible and scriptures, then there's room to go and have these discussions. But if you don't, then why does it matter? Why are you asking if something is a sin or not, if you don't even believe sin exists? So yeah, once again, I encourage you all to check out the interviews. I had some issues with the way he answered. You might as well, but ultimately I think there is room for grace. I do think that Lecrae also did bring up some interesting points, and you should check it out for yourselves. So in conclusion, even though I don't agree necessarily with the way Lecrae answered the questions and how he handled the interview, I do believe there is room for grace. We don't know what we would have done in his situation. And if you think you would have done a lot better, I challenge you to take that as an opportunity to grow. Go out there, share the gospel with your friends and family. Be more bold about your faith, because if you can't even do that in the small platform and position that God has given you, how can you expect yourself to be able to do that on a stage and a spotlight as big as the one that Lecrae has? Anyway, grace and peace, fam. Eternal perspective. Seek God and His kingdom first. We out.